What's up, Videolanders? I'm Brad.
Josh. Nathan.
Welcome to our 2016 Coen Brothers Marathon Golden Idol Awards. All right, guys, what did you think about this marathon? Did you enjoy it? Did you have fun? Without spoilers, though.
I was extremely excited about this. It took me by surprise because I guess I was expecting a lot out of these movies, and as far as I'm concerned, there were a couple duds in there. I was really surprised because there was a lot of chatter going into this about, you know, the best Coen Brothers movies, and I have to argue with that point on a couple of them.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
So.
Yeah, and I might have to argue about what I said going into this. But what do you think, Nathan?
No, I think kind of the same thing. There are so many like just really big Coen Brothers fans with it. You know, there's been a lot of talk on AV. Like, you know, I wouldn't rate anything the Coen Brothers have ever done below like a 4 or whatever. And I was like, man, this is gonna be really cool. And as it turns out, like. Like, you know, there's some of them that I wouldn't put up there.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. And when we did our True Grit, I even said, man, they're hit or they are miss with me. The reason we're doing this marathon is because Hell Caesar just came out just a few weeks ago. That was my number 2 most anticipated movie of the year, man. And it did not hold up for me. We're not going to do a whole review about that today. We
Better constructed trailer than a movie.
Yeah, it really was, man. Just the quirk that I liked in some of these movies. I don't think they nailed it quite so well in Hell Caesar. But let's take a look at some of the movies that we're marathoning. And then the Guardian actually posted an article saying that Hell Caesar, biggest box office bomb since Intolerable Cruelty, at like 11.4 opening. Yeah, 11.4 opening.
Okay.
Yeah, so
That's interesting. Miller's Crossing was a box office bomb as well, and yet it's a really highly rated,
very highly
respected movie.
Yeah.
So I don't know that you can really rate a Coen Brothers movies on its monetary intake.
no, I agree.
Well, yeah.
So let's take a look at the 6 movies that we chose to marathon. We have Blood Simple, 1984, starring Frances McDormand, John Getz, M. Emmett Walsh, and the name that we don't know how to pronounce, Dan Hedaya or Hedaya. Which one did we go with?
All of us have seen it in several movies.
Yeah, Dan Hedaya. Right now, it's currently at 7.7 on IMDb, and it's at 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. We also have Barton Fink, 1991, starring John Turturro, John Goodman, Steve Buscemi. It's currently ranked at 7.7 on IMDb and 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. We have Miller's Crossing, 1990. It stars Gabriel Byrnes, John Turturro, Marcia Gay Harden, Albert Finney. It's at 7.9 on IMDb, and it's at 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. Are you guys seeing a trend here when it goes from IMDb to Rotten Tomatoes? It's like Rotten Tomatoes are some really big Coen Brothers fans, aren't they? No Country for Old Men, 2007. We have Javier Bardem, Josh Brolin, Tommy Lee Jones, Kelly MacDonald, and Woody Harrelson. It's at 8.1 on IMDb and 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. Inside Llewellyn Davis, 2013, stars Poe Dameron, Kylo Ren, Oscar Isaacs, Adam Driver, Carey Mulligan, John Goodman, Garrett Hedlund, Justin Timberlake. It's at 7.4 on IMDb and 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. And our final film is Fargo. It is rated at 8.2 on IMDb, 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it stars Frances McDormand, William H. Macy, Steve Buscemi, and Peter Stormare. You guys ready to do our Coen Brothers marathon?
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I have heard a lot of people say, "Where's oh brother, where art thou?
Where's Lebowski?
Where's Lebowski?" We chose these movies pretty much based off Rotten Tomatoes. You have 94, 91, everything here, general consensus is in the 90s. We thought it'd be fun to take these top tier Coen Brothers films, put them together, see what happens, and then when we do a future Coen Brothers movie, you know, we'll take the top one here versus we'll do a versus episode.
It's worth
I think this is
mentioning that
important.
top tier for Coen Brothers is a lot more than 6 movies, which is what we chew into a marathon.
Yeah.
So,
and I think it's important. The reason we do these is because we want to look at what makes a good Coen Brothers film.
Yeah.
So that when we go forward to like what do they need to do to make it hit, especially when they have kind of a miss with Hail Caesar. You know what I mean? Like, what did they do wrong?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
and I call this making mega movie.
Right.
You know, like we take these categories, and I don't know your picks. I don't know Nathan's. We come together and we see, you know, what was the best in the categories, and then we give these golden idols. Golden idols is our version of the Oscars. You know, we have the ties, but we give you a little bit of sass. All right. So you guys ready to jump right into this?
Yes. Hey, out of curiosity, what was True Grit on IMDb? What was it rated?
Oh,
Remember?
man.
Like how does it stack up against these?
I think
I want to say it was high.
Yeah, it was high. I don't think it was. Was it 90s?
It was 90s. I thought. Yeah.
Review it.
Okay, I'll post it at the bottom of this video.
I'm just curious to see how it stacks up to these as far as the ratings go.
Okay. And our rules for the marathon. Okay. Do you want to go over some of the rules?
Like which ones?
The
WTF thing.
We have a WTF award.
Yeah, WTF is basically just for anything that's like what the fuck? Like
what the
fuck? It's not a pro, like you don't get an award for it really,
yeah,
right?
Neutral.
It's neutral, okay? And then later when we get on to worst picture, that takes away a point.
Yeah.
So
okay,
yeah.
Awesome. And then what I'm hoping to do is Golden Idol films. Whatever wins the most Golden Idols becomes the Golden Idol champion for the night, and then that'll be up for consideration. First and foremost, for Pantheon level film. That's the one that we have to go to what I call the Council of 12. Right. We push it out there and we see what everyone says if this should go into our movies of all time list. All right, let's start off with best location, Josh.
So there's a lot of good location selection in all of the Coen brothers films, so it's actually kind of hard to narrow it down. But I went with Miller's Crossing.
Okay.
The actual road out. I thought that was
awesome.
Yeah, I thought that was a beautiful, just location, shot angles, everything about that just captured the beauty of that area. And you're going to find this out as we progress, but there's not a lot I can throw Miller's Crossing's way. So I kind of chewed that one in, but...
Okay.
Are we doing runner-ups now?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do runner-up now. Did you have any runner-ups?
I'd probably have to go with No Country for Old Men, the desert with the cars and all that. It's just so well equipped for so many different things. As the scene changes, you know, Llewellyn goes there the first time, he observes this massacre basically from up on the cliff. You get him down there, and then when he goes back at night, same sequence, same chain of events, and then you turn and you look at the cliff, and it's used for an entirely different purpose, a very ominous purpose, where he looks up there and he sees not his vehicle, but the other truck show up. I would have to go with that.
That's one of my favorite shots in that film.
Yeah.
My favorite location was the Hotel Earl in Barton Fink.
Okay.
You spend so much time there, and it's so... I've read a lot since I've seen the film. When I watched Barton Fink, I didn't really know what to think about it, man. Like, it simmered with me for a few days, and the more I think about it, the more I like it. And the more Hotel Earl seems to be like this symbolic hell for him, where it's super hot. You know what I mean? Like,
Steve Buscemi, he chose it.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Steve Buscemi comes up from the cellar.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, man, the more I think about it, the more I think there's like you spend so much time there. It's perfect. It's just a great location. Yeah.
Okay. Any follow-ups?
I really like the gaslight inside Llewyn Davis. You spend more time there probably than anywhere else, and you get to know the characters and stuff. And it's this, I don't know, it's just this area where he's super unhappy. Okay. And like, I don't know, I liked that. It was a good.
Yet he's convincing himself it's where he wants to be.
Right, exactly. He thinks it's yeah.
Okay, I struggled a lot with this one here. I went with Fargo, and I wanted to go Hotel Earl really bad. The reason I didn't, I wanted a real location. I started looking into it because I did like the look of that, and it was all, I think, his room and the corridor shots. Were
gorgeous.
They were gorgeous, but they were actually built, on set. So I wanted something that was real, that was an actual location. And this might be considered cheating a little bit, but I went Minnesota, just in general, for Fargo. And the reason I did that was because...
I completely understand why you did that.
Yeah, and this is like Pantheon-level snow movies, okay? It's like, I've never seen anything that looks so cold and just dreary and dreadful.
And real.
Yeah, and what I love about this, what cemented this for me, was they actually started filming in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and then they said, no, we need more snow. We need more landscape, okay? So they actually moved it from there to Halleck, Minnesota, So, and which is an interesting note, this movie wasn't even shot anywhere near Fargo, North Dakota, So just to get all that snow and to change locations for that, I think this movie just nailed it for that. So that's my location.
Yeah, it's good.
It's just a simple thing. If somebody got in a car and started driving away, and being from Indiana, we see heavy snowfall from time to time. And just seeing them drive on the road, it's like, that's fucking real snow.
Yeah.
This wasn't
Yeah.
blown out of a machine.
Yeah.
They're driving there. And when Steve Buscemi's on top of the parking garage and right after her dad gets shot, he backs that car up and drives.
Yeah.
And I see him laying on the ground, and I look at the tire tracks. They're real fucking close to his legs, you know? Like, you saw the car drift back. It's just subtle things like that add the reality to it.
Yeah,
and that's
right.
That's a great pitch.
It's interesting. A lot of those locations, like you were saying, places that really exist, like a lot of those places have been demolished or they've been. I was looking up the locations from Fargo, and like most of it's gone.
Really?
Like that was a real car dealership they were at.
Okay,
and there was,
wow.
You know, but that's all been moved and.
What if that bar's still there?
I don't know.
That'd be interesting.
There was a lot of information on the wiki and stuff that took you other places that said, hey, you know, this has been demolished or it's been rebuilt or it's been whatever.
Yeah, and side note here, the Hotel Earl, that was actually a real lobby though. They filmed
It was.
Yeah, that was a real lobby. So yeah.
Okay. I think they do Fargo tours, in fact.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, best Coen character.
My God, this one is so hard.
Yeah, like
Right?
I put rules for myself on this one.
I literally went with the one that to me had the most impact, the one that I find most memorable, and it's when somebody just in a random encounter, somebody says, "Hey, you ever seen a Coen Brothers movie?" The first character that's going to pop into my mind is Anton Chigurh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had to give myself that criteria because they write characters so well and across so many different spectrums that you have to have some kind of rule to follow. But Anton Chigurh is just such a powerful presence.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And the way that Javier Bardem just mastered that role.
Yeah. Lifetime performance.
It is
Absolutely, yeah.
fantastic.
Lifetime character. You know.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yeah, Anton Chigurh, hands down.
For me, the best Coen character. I mean, the Coens, they write about losers. You know what I mean? They write about people that don't really win. And so for me, it was trying to find like who are the characters that like that really stands out for. The two characters in particular that I really really liked. I went with Barton Fink is my pick.
Okay.
Llewyn Davis was a very close second. Because they both made me feel kind of uncomfortable because they reminded me. I saw a lot of what I don't like about myself in them, in that they're not happy with their own success and that they get inside their own heads. And I think that's what makes good art. You know what I mean? When you it makes you feel uncomfortable because you see something that you don't enjoy. So those are the characters that resonated with me the most. I think Barton Fink, in particular, was the
And that concept right there is what plants a seed that makes that movie continue to grow as I think about it, as I process it. That character depth that they were able to put in. And he's just a writer, you know, that goes to LA to do his thing. And you wouldn't think that'd be a particularly interesting story, but damn, did they put some work into it.
Yeah, for sure. I went with longtime collaborator Francis McDormand, Chief of Police Marge Gunderson. And the reason I did this is I wanted to give it to Anton, and I wanted to, right? But that was an adapted character, so I wanted something that was a Coen Brothers character through and through. And there's something, I watch her, and she's got these disturbing murders. She has a pregnancy. It looks like she's maybe even supporting her husband. We never see him work. And
he's an artist.
Yeah, he's an artist. Yeah, and probably a struggling artist at that. They're not living above their
Yeah,
means.
you got 3 cent off 29.
Yeah, and she did she has the interaction with that the Asian guy, you know. And there's no like this lady would not have an affair even if this guy was like legit, okay. Right. But she's optimistic and she's so just upbeat. I actually wrote down a quote that I think that really makes her character stand out, and it's at the end of the film where she goes, "There's more to life than a little money, you know? Don't you know that? And here you are, and it's a beautiful day. Well, I just don't understand it." And I just love that character. All this crazy stuff that's going on, and she can just go back to that. It's a beautiful day.
Yeah, and I feel like
she's
a lot of
unfazed.
that got channeled.
She's unfazed, yeah.
I feel like a lot of that got channeled into No Country too, with Tommy Lee Jones' character.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what to make of that. It's kind of the same concept. Is he's out here just trying to do his job, doing his thing, living his life, and he cannot fathom why all of these things are possible. Why human nature allows us to come to this. And I think a lot of that came from Margie.
Yeah.
And she's real smart too, and that's another thing that's important to note about her. I remember the first time I watched this movie, I loved her character when she knelt down next to the car.
Oh yeah.
And says, "Oh, hole in the head and the
Yeah.
hand. I suppose that's a defensive wound.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Just the thing, and later on, I'm not sure I agree with your police work there, Luke.
Yeah.
Like she's real on it.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know she got chief of police honestly because
Yeah.
she's smart, she's clever, and
Yeah.
she seems to see something but can't.
Yeah,
really.
and she's 100% Coen character.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's a
that's what I
great
would
rule.
say.
Yeah.
All right, best screen duo. I had difficulty with this one, guys.
Yeah, there were a couple really good ones.
I went with Tommy Lee Jones and his deputy. In,
Dude, that was so close to being my number one. It really was.
And there's two of those duos, two of the sheriff and deputy duos in Fargo and No Country, but I gave it to that one because they're just so funny. Everything, a lot of the dialogue actually in Fargo is kind of placid, just real life conversation. No Country had that comic tweet.
They ham it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh, hell's bells, Sheriff!
The milk bottle. There's a lot of moments like that when he walks in and he says, "This FBI guy's wanting you to come out to this site." He says, "Are there any new bodies accumulated out there?"
Yeah.
No, sir. Well, I guess I can skip it.
Yeah.
Just excellent stuff there, and it's on a comedic level really that drew me in. But I like those two on screen.
Well, Tommy Lee Jones, we were talking about this in the car. Tommy Lee Jones can do comedy
Yeah.
really well. He's so dry, like he understands delivery.
I laughed my ass off at Space Cowboys.
And his performance as Two-Face, right?
Yeah.
I went with Steve Buscemi and Peter Stormare from Fargo.
That's a good one.
You spend a lot of time with them, and even though Peter's character is so quiet, Steve Buscemi, it's I don't know, it's just neat the way they play off each other, even though he never really talks. Like Steve Buscemi's just getting you can tell he's just getting shitty.
Yeah.
Trying to have a conversation. We drive for fucking 45 minutes.
See how you like it. Total silence.
Total silence from now on, right now. No, and their chemistry is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
That, man, I wanted that one so bad. That was my runner-up right there.
Yeah.
I'm going with Miller's Crossing, and I put a lot of thought on this. I wanted. This was from a character standpoint, and it's Albert Finney and Gabriel Byrnes. Okay.
Okay.
And it's because you have this Irish mobster, and you have his advisor. And a lot of movies that you watch that are about the mob or something, you got the guy that's on top, and he makes all the calls, and he doesn't really have. There's a few exceptions, but a lot of these movies don't have the confidant. The one that can come in and clears out the room, and be like, hey. You're fucking up. You're doing shit wrong. You're the boss, but you gotta fucking listen to me. I'm your longtime friend.
I did like that.
that, and I liked when the chief starts saying something. He's like, "Hey, look, I can say that. You don't say that."
Exactly. I love that. And
There's a loyalty there.
Yeah, there is.
Just
and at the end of this movie, when he wanted him to come back, even if he did, Verna would have always been a thorn in his side. But I was like, man, if he would just go back to Leo. I was like, right there, you would just have, they could get so much accomplished together, with that bond that they have. So those characters together, I thought, just their traits and their trust in each other, their honesty they do. And I love that. So that one was my duo.
Did none of us pick John Turturro and John?
I almost did. That was a good one too.
I know.
Yeah, I thought
because they might not be a duo.
Yeah. No.
All right.
I think. I mean,
I'm really surprised actually.
No, I did think about
the
it,
three
though.
of us.
Yeah, I thought they were great on screen together. No
They
complaints
were
at all.
Awesome. Yeah.
there was a lot about that movie that I loved, but I don't think they had a lot of chemistry. I didn't feel natural like chemistry. That was the only thing I would in Barton Fink. Yeah.
Right now we're all kind of different, aren't we?
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
with a lot of our
And I
friends.
feel like this.
I love that
marathon's gonna be
movie.
like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Okay. Let's go. I know we're all going to be disagreeing on this one probably. Best villain.
This might be one where we all line up. All right. You can't argue that Anton Chigurh is just a monster, and he's something else. If every theme that No Country espouses, he is the reason. You can't imagine that type of morbid activity, that just capacity for terribleness.
Yeah.
Right.
And he does it.
Well, I think Woody Harrelson's character is like, you kind of admire him in a way. Like, he says he's going to do it, and he's going to do it.
He's gonna do
just
it.
for no other reason than he said he was going to do it.
So is this guy the ultimate badass?
But yeah.
I'll say he doesn't have a sense of humor.
Right. Yeah. No, he's like a force of nature. You know what I mean? He really is. Like, Anton Chigurh is my pick as well.
Mine too. His
Not, what though?
and-
Not every one of these films had a villain.
Yeah, true.
And so it's like inside Llewyn Davis didn't really have a villain. I mean, you
Yeah.
can extrapolate like
Yeah.
what it means to be a villain.
Like
and,
you said
this
in
is
a text message, you have antagonist and protagonist. We could have flipped it that way
Right.
and not went so cut hero villain.
right.
But it's like, I asked you guys, you want to keep it? I thought that was a good decision too. Let's just
Yeah.
keep it in there.
Because a lot of these movies have a
and
justification.
and especially in this case, this isn't just your run-of-the-mill villains. I mean, he could go heads with anybody.
Anton Chigurh can go head to head with anybody.
He might be one of the best villains ever on screen. His
would
intellect,
agree
like
with
I
that,
said
so.
earlier, it's a character. Maybe not so much as a character, but a performance even of a lifetime. Man.
Which is
Like,
interesting
Javier
because he's
Bardem
so
just nails it.
quiet most of the time.
Which the whole movie's quiet, which we'll
Right.
get into in a little bit.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into best hero.
Well, this one I think is going to be all over the place. Potentially.
Oh.
There's a lot of definitions of heroes that the Coens tend to gloss over. But I went with Margie from Fargo. I just, for a lot of the reasons that I mentioned when I backed up your pick earlier, is she's just so... A, she's real. She's a real type of character. B, she seems smart, clever, and good-natured.
Yeah.
I mean, and
Good-natured is a really good way to put it.
She is going after bad guys, doing her job. And, at the end of the day, she is just out for her community. And she goes home to Norm, they get in bed together, they live normal lives, do normal things. You can't say that she did anything that didn't line up with a good nature.
Right.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I totally agree with you. I picked Josh Brolin's Llewellyn Moss from No Country. Because part of it is because Anton Chigurh is such a powerful,
that he is in some way a worthy...
Right, he's a worthy opponent. Right, you know what I mean?
Woody Harrelson said that. You saw him alive? I'm impressed,
And that's part. It's just so surprising, because Anton Chigurh is so powerful on screen. Like anybody who, Anton Chigurh doesn't beat him. You know what I mean? Like Anton Chigurh doesn't beat Llewellyn Moss.
No, he beats himself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I love that. I love that these two guys can go, head to head with each other, and it's Moss is that that he stops for a beer and for a woman, and that is his ultimate downfall.
Right.
I love that.
And he's such a good. I buy him as a survivalist. You know what I mean?
Sure,
I definitely
man.
buy him in all those scenes. I also he's in the heroic aspect. He's a good guy. Like part of what fucks him is the he goes back to give that guy some water. You know what I mean? He's laying in bed.
That
He's like,
is
I
what
can't-
fucked
Well,
me.
didn't he go into
can't.
that room with that lady? Because I walked out of the room on that scene, but I thought he went, because I've seen it so many times, I went and made some dinner real quick and came back, but I thought for sure that he goes in because that lady calls him inside.
No, because she offers to bring the beer out.
But he goes in, doesn't he?
I don't think so.
I thought that was his
No,
downfall
I don't
right
think
there.
he does.
Because I thought that was the only time
Because
that
he
let his
says
guard down.
I know what it leads to. You know what I mean? Like I don't I know what beers leads
that's
to.
a nice
you know,
trait
like-
too. Just listening to his
Right.
commentary there, he's going after this money for his wife. For this idea of setting them up, and he's clinging to it because he's, in my opinion, he's wanting to.
I have to go back and rewatch that scene now because I'm so sure that he.
I don't think he does.
But he lets his guard
Well, see,
down.
that's the
regardless.
great thing
Regardless,
about
I mean-
Llewellyn Moss and his downfall there. Like you said, it's not Anton Chigurh that brings him down. It's actually, I think that it was the
Just
Mexicans just found it.
It's just circumstance.
And
they find Carla and
they
her
talk
mom.
to the mother, and she gives them the location. So they go and get him. He's in his room. I know he's in his room because the money was in the ventilation
vent.
thing.
You're right.
And you see the scrapes. So the room he's in when they find him dead is his room. And I'm assuming that they probably knocked on the door or something along that line that he wasn't expecting Anton Chigurh to do. So when I look at that whole his death, it's that he's preparing for the worst and he forgets the little things.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's kind of, you get lost in that game. And
because he's played everything so safe up to that point.
Yeah,
everything.
and played it the way that Anton Chigurh does.
Yeah.
Whereas these other guys are a kick in the door type. Anton Chigurh would not have done that.
He's a survivor, like you
Right.
said, man. He's a survivor. Yeah, it's a great pick.
He doesn't go with that risk stuff. So.
Yeah. All right, I'm going with you, man. Police Chief Marge Gunderson. Everything that you said, man. She's just that. I don't know. She just shines in this. She's got that good nature, and I think that she can just. I don't know. She's has that female hero role in this one. So I loved it. I thought she was great.
Yeah, she was. There's no doubt about it. She's great. Yeah.
Best kill.
So I am going to be the odd one out on this one. I'm sure of it. But instinct is to go with the wood chipper thing, right? the wood chipper wasn't an actual kill. That's
it was
disposal.
the disposal.
That's funny.
So after that, it comes down to 2 for me. And I'll give you my runner-up first, and that was the axe in Fargo.
Okay.
I was just, no. It's Steve Buscemi.
He's like, oh no.
Going back, and that axe comes out is great. But the one that I ended up going with for best kill, and it's just because the whole scene, everything that leads up to it is so powerful and so fantastic that there's no way that I wasn't going to, I mean, it's burned into my memory. And that is Anton Chigurh sitting across from Carson Wells. Their whole conversation, he's just gently got that shotgun rested on his knee. Phone rings. There's a moment of silence. Pulls the trigger. The cotton or feathers or whatever it is that comes out of the chair fill the room. You see, I assume it's a dummy or something, but the hand flops up. I mean, just the impact of it, everything about it was just powerful and real. And then he casually reaches over and picks up. I mean, just character shit through and through. Yeah. Anton Chigurh definitely would have killed somebody that way. And I don't know, it just had an impact on me.
I thought for certain you were going to say that fucking calf inside the window.
I wanted to, but it technically didn't die on screen.
Can I say, the silent shotgun thing is so cool. Like, it started to become prevalent even in other media when that came out. Like just like Call of Duty and shit. You know, that's when you started seeing like
that
silencers
came out
and shotguns and stuff.
They literally started receiving orders for silenced shotgun. There's no real application for it. People just fucking wanted them.
People just thought it was cool, and it is cool. Okay, so I had 2, and one of them was a little bit off there. Though I did go with the wood chipper thing. I think that's what
I think it counts.
I think it counts when I think about Fargo. When going into this movie, like, what I remember about Fargo is that scene where she comes around the corner and he's like fucking. He's like foot is like sticking up with the sock hanging off of it, and he's like trying to jam it into the stock of wood.
All that red on the snow, man. It was so brutal.
It's like all I could think of was just Steve Buscemi's fucking foot sticking out the top. That and then
fucking wood.
So that's my pick. But I really liked. We were talking in the car a little bit about. Inside Llewyn Davis, there's no actual kill, but there's the death of his like spirit. You know what I mean? Like where he's given up his artistic sort of dreams. He's gonna join the Merchant Marine. You know, that's a kind of death. And it's definitely a powerful sort of, you know, when you see him just defeated, where he's saying like I'm just fucking tired.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah.
All right.
Tired but not dead.
But no. I picked the wood chipper for a reason.
All right, I'm going wood chipper as well. You made a good case though. I mean, I was like, God damn it, man! I might have to change this, but you made a good case too. Yeah. I like it. I thought it was awesome. Yeah, it is awesome. It's disposal for sure. You know, but. Man, it was so brutal. It was fucking brutal. Yeah. And who's to say? We didn't see what led up to that. Maybe he just fucking threw him in there.
maybe he's still alive.
I don't know. Maybe he threw him right in their head first, man. He just drug him out there. He's a brutal character. But I have to give some props, though, to Miller's Crossing. The Irish mob, man, or the Leo. He goes, this guy, you don't know if he has it. You know, he's just he's a mob boss for a reason. Right. He hides underneath his bed, shoots out the kneecaps, he shoots in the leg, and then shoots him in the head, goes out his window, okay, shoots the guy through the Tommy gun at the top of the stairs, and then blows up the fucking car. Which was fantastic, because the guy
fucking starts shooting his own feet and all kinds
I was like, that was beautiful. But that wood chipper is fucking crazy. It's iconic, yeah. So I'm going wood chipper. All right, the WT Fuck Award.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that.
Miller's Crossing. Leo with the Tommy gun. Bottomless drum mag. He fucking unloaded on that guy in the window. And I'm talking like steady streams, held down the trigger on that Tommy gun. And I respect the capacity of a drum magazine, but he well exceeded it. Yeah. So he's shooting that guy, and then he turns around, and a car drives by with a guy in the back shooting his own Tommy gun, which never lands a fucking shot. He's spraying out the back of it. This guy's standing out in the middle with it in a row. I mean, was there a tree barricade?
Yeah, you can't see what's in between them.
He active dodge. He didn't dodge. He did all the badass, like just fucking walking straight forward, chin up. And it was a great character moment, but. Show me some fucking bullets hitting the ground next to him before he gets all the way out into the road and starts shooting this car from behind. That whole segment, I'm just thinking to myself, what the
That's
fuck?
Funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
He gets under the bed. I mean, he's sitting on the side of the bed, thinking about that gun. These guys walk in, they kick in the door, and in that short period of time, he grabs the gun, drops down, slides under, and only succeeds in that because, for whatever reason, these fucking gunmen start shooting at the floor first and raising their guns as if they've never fired a Thompson before. And then he jumps out the window, which was cool, by the way.
It's cool, but
it's all cool, but it left me with a real what the fuck because they never landed a shot on him.
That's funny.
And I just don't see it.
I think Albert Finney was such a badass for me.
He was.
And I was so taken back by that. I was like, I didn't even look at that. I was like, honey, you see this? I was like, look at my mom, I'm like, dude, this guy's ripping ass, man. I mean, this is awesome.
And then when the scene transitions over, it doesn't detract from when that guy's walking down the hallway, he explains to him what's going on, and he says to him, he's still an artist with a Thompson now. I love that stuff. Yeah. I just think that we missed something there.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. That scene needed a little bit of doctoring to make it seem like they were at least fucking shooting this way instead of this way.
That film in particular is the kind of film that screams out for a remake, I think. And there's reasons like that I think, like, man, you could do that better.
See, I don't want to touch Miller's Crossing. I like it. I don't think it's amazing, but I like it as it is. But you know what?
I can get on board with individual elements of Miller's Crossing.
Okay, how about TV show?
Oh, yeah.
Netflix?
I mean,
okay. Like, there's no
reason
Fargo. I haven't seen the Fargo TV show.
But the reason that would work is that any Prohibition-era gangster thing works. I mean, you're a big fan of Boardwalk Empire.
Yeah, I've already got Boardwalk Empire.
The structure works for television.
Yeah.
But that particular scene stands out to me with big
okay, what I gotta say, like linking this to your WTF, okay, there's something that I do love about the Coens, and when they get it right, they are the best in the business, and it's smart characters. There's that scene in Blood Simple.
Except in Blood Simple.
There's that scene in Blood Simple where she goes outside, or she leaves the bedroom, goes all the way around, sits down, points the gun at the door, and just waits. And then shoots. I love that. Leading up to that, I don't know why he's putting his hand out the fucking window, but
I think he was checking to see if it was open. I don't really know. But you bring up an important point. And this might be getting sidetracked when we're talking about right now, but I have to jump into it because I got to
link a couple other ones to it real quick, just to show real smart. Go ahead and finish this.
Blood Simple had a problem for me in that I've seen a lot of smart Coen Brothers characters. Blood Simple had the stupidest one that I've seen.
Really?
And that is the guy dragging him out into the field, leaving tire tracks straight to the burial spot. Yeah. The way he cleans the blood. He walks around with the blood stain on his shirt as he's standing in a fuck. Everything he did was just stupid. It was but it was driven by emotion, and I get that. He thought he was helping her. But he walks into the room with her in there, blood on his shirt, a gun hanging out of his back pocket. He turns around several times, flaunts
just tell me what happened.
Touches her forehead and rubs dirt across her forehead. Never brings up what happened, but she never says, "Is that blood on your shirt?"
Right.
She never shows that intelligence that we then see in the end. I think that they had that scene in the end.
Exactly.
And they built the character ahead.
Yeah, I agree. So Coen Brothers, I think when they nail it though, that scene where she could have
was magnificent.
A lot of those movies though, like that, you would have the female. She would like run all over the living room. She'd fall down the stairs. I don't know. She would do something stupid. She's calm. She's collected. She goes up against the wall. She waits for her kill shot. Pulls the trigger. Dead. We see the same thing in there's moments at Miller's Crossing where you just don't have this battle inside the house with Leo, the mob boss. He goes right from underneath his bed, goes outside the house, waits, kill shot, and just he's on top of it. He's smart. He's intelligent. Moss in No Country for Old Men, one of my favorite scenes.
Sits with the watch.
I love that fucking scene. And it's just like, I'm just going to watch this. I'm going to see how this plays out. I don't know how long he's there. An hour, 2 hours, 3 hours?
You're going to shoot my ass.
Yeah, I love that. And when they nail that, they are the best in the business. But yeah,
and then that entire end scene in Blood Simple, they nailed it. I mean, that movie was made for that scene. Everything else was just build up to it. But I feel like all of that was done after the fact.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like it was written to match that scene, and the characters just didn't line up. And I wanted them to, because
in Blood Simple? Blood Simple I agree to, and that was their first movie. You can tell the future of the Coens, but you can also tell the flaws in it as well.
Yeah, right.
All right.
We're still on what the fuck?
Yeah. What the fuck?
I think, so I had two. So the big one was Fargo, was just it tells you in the beginning that it's based on a true story.
Okay, yeah.
And that it's, they changed the names or whatever. And I've always thought that was true.
Yeah.
I never realized until I was, looking stuff up that it's not based on a
Wait,
true
it's not
story.
true?
It's not. Yeah.
What the fuck,
Josh? It's not true. And I was really like, wow, that's because I believe. It's brilliant the way that it's written. It's because it seems like something that could happen.
Don't you love that though? Do you like it though? Even though it's what the fuck, do you like that?
Oh yeah, no,
okay.
I do like that they fuck with you because you're willing to believe things if you believe
Fuck
it.
yeah.
And I like that it says that in the beginning of the movie, but then when the credits roll, it says that all the characters are fictitious.
See, I've never seen that.
Yeah.
I missed that.
I love that. I was scared to death as a kid when I watched Return of the Living Dead because Return of the Living Dead, when it first comes up, says this is based on real events, and I was like, I remember asking my mom, like, what the fuck?
It's a valuable tool because it instantly
Yeah.
makes you look at a movie differently.
Mm-hmm.
When you see, because you see, like, when people make stupid decisions, like everything that William H. Macy's character does in that movie, you're like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, but that's part of his character.
But then it's like, it's based on a real story. Like, this dude was fucking, fucking, he
But
was...
it's worth saying that the characters are so well written and just so grounded that it makes it all the more easy to believe that it is in fact based on a true story. Because how can somebody write a character this vivid and real? And by that I mean kind of just dim-witted and boring and
not
standard.
perfect.
Yeah, they're real people. So it makes it easy to believe that illusion. And now I ask you, do we believe that they're that vivid and real because they said it's based on a true story, or because the writing is so good?
Yeah.
I would tend to think it's the writing because, they're terrific across all of their movies.
Okay, now let me ask you guys this. For the What the Fuck Award, right? Have you ever, since we've been doing these marathons, we've done 4 or 5 together now, something like that. Have you actually, not even thought about the What the Fuck Award, right? But you're watching a movie and you're seriously like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Have you ever done that, right? Where you're not trying to, line up the award
Legitimately,
with it,
the
but you're
Tommy
just like,
gun
what the
thing
fuck?
was that
You like that?
moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I did this today. So this isn't really in one of the movies, but I was searching Fargo, okay? And I was looking up, because Fargo I think is amazing. I every time I watch that movie, I'm like, man, that is so good. I don't know why I don't give it even more. Why aren't I watching this movie once a year, because this is fucking good stuff.
It's valuable,
Yeah, and I looked up, the Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb's, and I had the TV series, okay, which I've never seen. I don't know anything about it, but I was like, it was rated 9.1 out of 10. And then on IMDb, and the movie's only 8.2 out of 10.
Really?
And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I was like, I gotta watch this shit if it's that fucking good. So I've heard some good things about Fargo, but it's better than the fucking movie? What the fuck?
That
I was
has
like,
the guy from Sherlock in it?
It
I
has,
saw a screenshot.
It's Billy Bob Thornton in it, and it has, I'm not sure who all is in it, but...
and I'm on board because Billy Bob Thornton sounds like he'd be great in a Fargo TV show, doesn't he?
Yeah, oh yeah.
So I'm on board now, but I was like, what the fuck is
this?
this?
It's a retelling of the movie as far. I think he plays.
Is it?
I think he plays Carl Showalter.
Okay,
I'm
so
not gonna fucking swear to
if
that.
it's like a
right?
retelling of the movie, that's like a double what the fuck. I'm like, is that even necessary? But people are loving it, so. And Rotten Tomatoes, I think, I don't know if, no, I didn't see Rotten Tomatoes, that was just IMDb, but yeah, that was what the fuck.
My other WTF was in Inside Llewyn Davis when they go to the recording studio with Justin. I posted it on AV.
Oh yeah, that's so funny.
Where it's like they're sitting there and then the guy sits down with a cowboy hat and my wife is like, is that Kylo Ren? And I was like, is it? And they sit down and sing this goofy fucking song with Justin Timberlake and I was like, this is fucking crazy.
Yeah, that was a great Facebook post, by the way. I thought that was funny. My other what the fuck was Fargo, obviously not being in Fargo, and the Coen brothers said they didn't want to name the movie Brainerd.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. I think it'd be awesome if it was Brainerd. I mean, I think we're used to hearing Fargo, but I don't know. That's still early on in their career too. It's like what, 90? Was that what it was? Something like that.
It was pretty early. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like, wow, whatever. All right, best score or soundtrack.
This is a fun one. It really is because not all these films even have a score.
One of the things I love about Coen movies so much is the silence, the brooding silence. A lot of my favorite scenes in No Country for Old Men, they don't have anything to back it. They don't need anything to back it. The delivery of the characters are so powerful that it's enough. And a lot of these movies are like that. You get some stuff in scene transitions and things. But I'm glad Inside Llewyn Davis was in this marathon because otherwise I had a real hard time with this one. But I loved the music in Inside Llewyn Davis, so I went with that one.
Okay.
As best soundtrack. Just because it's the only one that really had music. Everything else would have been score level stuff that I don't know.
Yeah,
Some
I'm
B-roll
sure
it sounded
was-
like, didn't it? Like some of it sounded like B-roll, didn't it? Like it sounded like Miller's Crossing. I thought I was listening to like fucking Lord of the Rings. You know?
I didn't make that connection.
I like what they do with
Fargo
their-
was
their-
good.
their
There's some melancholy that they had.
It's a very
Yeah, but
subdued-
nothing ever lasts for very long. It gets right back to the characters and whatnot. Like, honestly, I think probably one of the longest things with the music was in the beginning when the car was driving down the road. Like, right at the opening credits, I believe. So, for me, there's only one choice for a soundtrack, and that's Inside Llewyn Davis.
Okay.
Okay, we'll get to that. I think this was really interesting from the score soundtrack thing for me because not like No Country was so quiet. Like, and there's a lot of Barton Fink was very quiet. A lot of these films, they like the one that I picked was Fargo.
Okay.
Because they tend to use the music just like in transitions, like in the opening, and like it, and then they let the dialogue and everything else like carry the scene, and like I just love that. Like I love their use of the music, right? And even it's just like you know, like when if you're painting a picture or something, there's what you're doing, and then there's like negative space. You know what I mean? There's stuff outside of what you're doing that's also sort of part of your picture. And I think
that they enrich with character. Yeah,
right. Inside Llewyn Davis had really great soundtrack, and we talked about it a little bit. I like folk music. I don't like Mumford & Sons.
Oh, it's fucking wearing on me.
I don't like Mumford & Sons. I do like folk music though, and we were watching it last night, and I kept thinking like this just doesn't sound authentic to me, and I kept looking up reviews, and people were saying like, hey man, I was there in the '60s, and this is what it looked like, and this is what it sounded like. And like, you know what? Like, I've got these CDs, man. It's not what it sounds like. I'll go back and listen to it.
Like
and I
just said, they were there in the '60s.
Well, that's 50 fucking years ago. I don't remember what happened last week Tuesday, Josh. Like,
yeah, but you had talked about the clean.
It's very clean. So like this morning I sat down because the Inside Llewyn Davis is loosely based on Dave Van Ronk, and so I listened to Dave Van Ronk this morning. I listened to Bob Dylan. I listened to Joni Mitchell. I listened to a lot of stuff from that era, and it's very dirty. You know what I mean? It's very like there's some grit to it that like you can hear it in the way it's recorded with like like tube amps and like all that stuff. This sounds very like I would believe that this was recorded, that Inside Llewyn Davis was recorded when it was in like 2011. Yeah. It sounds very solid state. It sounds very clean.
All live performances in the movie.
Yeah, and that's cool. But his voice in particular is very good, but it just sounds very polished. It sounds really like churchy. There's a lot of flair to it, and I don't really get that from like you listen to the same songs played by Dave Van Ronk, and he has like a grit to his voice. I believe that he lived that life, and I agree with you. Yeah, I loved all the songs. I thought their use of the music was wonderful in Inside Llewyn Davis, but I felt like that is just they missed the mark on it a little bit. And that's what kept it from me. I picked Fargo.
Okay. My best score was the lack of score, and that was No Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
16 minutes of music, and a lot of that is in the end credits.
Yeah.
You know, and let me just remind everybody that this is a suspense thriller.
Yeah.
Okay, with no music.
That's beautiful.
And you're still on the edge of your seat.
Yep.
That just shows you that they are just craftsmen at what they do.
Well, if we're going with negative sound,
yeah. No, but I had to say, this was a soundtrack. I mean, it was 16 minutes, but it was just the lack of, I think, really made this.
It's a valid.
I think it was lack of.
Well, there's that scene we were talking about before, where he's down in that valley with the cartel, where and he turns, looks up at his car, and it's cool. And then he gets in the van, looks around a little bit, looks back up, and there's no like like that cues it. You just look up and you see it, and like everybody who watched it goes like, oh fuck, you know what I mean? Like, oh fuck.
And that's the design of the scene. It's the backlighting, and you see that extra car, and it's you feel what Llewellyn
exactly.
Yeah, if there's
oh shit,
if there's any
oh shit,
it's happening.
I think there's some talent there.
Okay.
And that's enough to drive that scene.
We're gonna take a break. And that is my thesis on silence. So,
well fucking said.
So should we get into our next one? Best quote.
I don't know. Are you ready?
Continue.
All right. It's real hard to pick a best quote in a Coen Brothers marathon because, damn, their writing is so good. And honestly, mine might surprise you guys, but one of the scenes in general that I really liked, it's because it felt so out of place but natural, was when Tommy Lee Jones' character goes to meet Ellis in the end. That whole exchange was just wonderful. Masterful. And right up to the, how'd you know it was my truck? I deduced it. It's great stuff. But he says while he's talking to him, what you got ain't nothing new. This country's hard on people. You can't stop what's coming. It ain't all waiting on you. That's vanity. Love that line. Absolutely love it. Yeah.
That whole scene is great.
It is. It's.
Is it? I mean,
he's the first time you see him, and yet he still steals that scene.
Yeah.
You know, it's just that those two, when they're speaking to each other, you feel like
you don't even know who
old
it is.
Friends. Yeah, you don't know, but you feel like this is someone, this awesome character that you've been following through the whole movie looks up to in some way. You know, and furthermore, he goes there and asks him how he felt about the guy that shot him getting out of jail, you know? And it just, that whole thing, those two men have something they can teach the world, and yet both of them one of them is already retreated because he's wounded and, you know, he's in a wheelchair. And the other one's about to leave because he just can't understand it. This world is not for him anymore. Right. He needs to leave it to younger men. And that whole scene is great, and that line sums up a lot of it.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
My quote is also from the sheriff. It's when he's talking to Carla Jane Moss, and he's trying to tell her, you know, she's saying, you know, Llewellyn will take on all comers or whatever, and he tells him the story about how they're trying to kill this bull or whatever, and it, you know, whatever. The quote is, you know, even in the contest between man and steer, the issue is not certain. That's just great. You know what I mean? Like nothing is for certain. You can't take anything for granted. You know, even when you think all you got to do is just kill this bull or whatever, like you might. You know, you get your wife's gonna be opening your cans for the rest of their life. You know, because you get shot or whatever. Like,
that movie is full of so many. I mean,
everything Tommy Lee Jones says is fucking.
I can easily runner up on what Anton Chigurh says to Carson Wells.
Oh, that's fantastic.
If this rule is what you brought you here.
Oh man,
the rule.
That's so badass. Yeah. Okay, so for mine, going back to our Versus episode, you know, my favorite quote was, "Fill your hands, you son of a bitch." So I wanted something else that, you know, I just want these collection of T-shirts from our marathons with quotes on them. I love that Margie Gunderson that I read earlier, you know, talking about it's a beautiful day, you know, there's more in life than money. But man, John Goodman screaming, "I'll show you the life of the mind."
I'll show you the life of the mind.
Dude,
Hail Hitler!
It cracks me up every time. Like, I rewound it because I had to get up again. I came back and I rewound it to that scene.
Yeah.
And just a little bit before that. And I just finished watching that scene, right? And I come back and it cracked me up again. He's like, "I'll show you the life of the mind." It's just like, no one else could do that line.
Right.
John Goodman.
Well, it goes back to what we were saying about the Hotel Earl being like hell, right? Like as he's running down there with the shotgun, like fire's like raising up.
Yeah,
it's more than just the quote.
Yeah, it is.
It is that entire atmosphere, everything about it.
I want that on a shirt now.
It is.
I'll show you the life of the mind.
That is definitely a shirt we're going to quote. Bravo.
Yeah, I need 2 T-shirts now. True Grit, "Fill your hands, you son of a bitch," and this one here, "I'll show you the life of the mind." All right, best screenplay.
We've talked a lot about the depth of the characters, the realness of the characters. There were only 2 contenders that I would throw out there on this one, and it's strictly based upon dialogue. Just No Country and Fargo.
Okay.
Barton Fink, I wanted to feel like it was a contender, but there's just too many rich characters. There's a lot less characters in Barton Fink than there are in the other ones. And the presence of every single character is screen-worthy. But I went with No Country for Old Men because I love the characters that are being depicted. I love I feel like I understand them and their view on the world. All the way down to Carla Jean, who just wants to look out for Llewellyn, to the sheriff, who is trying to do his job but realizes he can't keep up with this type of viciousness, and all the way to Llewellyn Moss, who just wants to get ahead and thinks he's still in the game, you know? And the delivery of those lines, the quotes that we discussed here previously, it's chock full of them. And then honestly, based upon what you said in your extensive thesis on silence, so much of that had to be covered, I would imagine, and I didn't read the screenplay myself, but a lot of that has to be covered in just wording,
Right.
For them to be able to carry that over. And it's an advantage that writer-directors have, that they know their vision going in, so they might be able to be light on the script, but the script's not just for them, it's for everyone. So I have to assume that screenplay was just chock full of the stuff about the door. There's so much silence in the movie, and yet there's so much on screen happening.
Yeah.
I really wanted to go with No Country. I like No Country for all the reasons that you...
Whatever you go with, you're wrong.
I'm not wrong. The answer is Barton Fink was definitely my favorite screenplay. Everything in it is just so meaningful, and a lot of times people will say like about like Inception or something. They'll say like, "Oh man, like it was really good. Like you got to see it twice though because it's kind of a mind fuck or whatever." And like it's always like you don't need to see it twice. You know what I mean? Like you just I don't know.
But Barton Fink,
man, I got to go back and see that shit again because it's so, everything you see is like I wonder if that's even happening or if he's imagining that or I wonder like what this means or like and so. That's the only one that really makes me feel like that. I feel like there's a depth to it that I haven't finished, exploring
I would give that
yet.
to story rather than screenplay, because all that stuff is something that you dredge up yourself, and it does a good job of setting you up for that opportunity. I'll give you that.
Well, I think even the dialogue is fantastic.
It is.
I mean,
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm gonna agree with you. I went Barton Fink. There's so much here to unpack, and like you said, it's gonna take multiple viewings. But you know how you said story. I think there's a lot of commentary kind of packed in here. I mean, there's high art versus low art. You have images that are from film noir. You have images that are straight up a horror film. You have fascism. You have you have all kinds of stuff in this movie.
You're referring to the
slavery.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, there's so much here that the dialogue, like you said, is so rich and it's unique. And the other reason I gave this over No Country, they gave it 3 weeks, but it's an original screenplay and not adapted from Cormac McCarthy. So that was the reason I went Barton Fink. All that right there, I was like, there was no other choice for me.
Yeah, I read somewhere that they were writing Miller's Crossing.
Yeah.
And got writer's block.
Yeah.
And went to stay with someone and wrote Barton Fink in 3 weeks.
Yeah,
really?
And this is a whole commentary just on writer's block as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
And then just the,
war with yourself, expectations you impose on yourself,
Yeah.
whether you're looking at it from a writing perspective or not, just the expectations and all that commentary.
It's a writer's
is
screenplay,
powerful
for
stuff.
sure. So all that and being an original screenplay is why I went Barton Fink. So, all right, let's get into best cinematography.
This was so... There was 3 films that I was so into.
And once again, I went with No Country for Old Men. Just because I think the angles of the shots mean a lot. We talked earlier about my runner-up on the location. That down there underneath that cliff with the car being parked there. The location of that camera, looking up, seeing what Llewellyn saw.
Yeah.
If that had been anywhere else from any other angle, I don't know how I would have felt about it, And there were a lot of things like that. When Tommy Lee Jones walks up to the hotel after he's going back to investigate, after Llewellyn has been killed, and you see the lock was blown out, and he stops, just those angles through the door for both of them, where you see Anton behind the door, where you see Tommy Lee Jones looking down, he kind of sighs. All that stuff. It's just the claustrophobia of that it presented. No Country did a lot of stuff like that. Yeah. Following the track shot, following Anton as he's walking in socks to the other room. Right. I can't say enough about No Country for Old Men. In a movie full of silence, the angle of that camera and the perspective they're giving you is so important.
Right.
So, No Country.
That was the 3 that really jumped out for me were they were all the ones that Roger Deakins did. It was Barton Fink, Fargo, and No Country. There were 2. What was it?
No Barry Sonnenfeld love.
No, I just didn't, you know what, man? Roger Deakins in a whole other class.
Yeah, he does.
And then Inside Llewyn Davis, I thought was good too. That was somebody else. That was a third person. I can't remember his name. I went with Barton Fink because I just feel like I don't know, you really get a sense of his surroundings. Like you really get I love all the transitions. I love, especially there was the one when they transitioned into the bathroom and then down the pipes, you know what I mean? Because like the pipes are important. They talked earlier about how like Charlie can hear people, you know, having sex through the pipes and stuff like that, and it upsets him and that kind of stuff. Yeah, so they're foreshadowing, you know, what's going to happen.
Fink is saying
Dude, I don't think you don't think that the last like 30 minutes of this film actually happened? You think it's all like imaginary?
I'm gonna have to watch it again.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I think that it did. Anyway, I really like a lot of those shots. You're foreshadowing what's going to happen by showing. They talk about the pipes before, then they show you going down the pipes, and it just, you know, I don't know. It's just brilliant.
I could have easily gone with Barton Fink for cinematography. Those shots of the wall alone.
Yeah.
Right. One of my favorite shots is when he's sitting there, he's writing, and then the wallpaper for the first time that it curls down. Kind of like the way that the camera moves around him to look at that, I thought was great.
Very surreal.
Yeah, and the shots of the wall I thought were really important in Barton Fink because he's up against a wall, he's hit a wall. You know, it's all about that block. This is his limitation. Those shots of the wall were all through the film, through the wallpaper. I think there was a few shots of the ceiling. I mean, they photographed flat surfaces a lot in Barton Fink.
Yeah, there's some beautiful cinematography throughout, but I don't think they've ever won a cinematography award, have they? The Coen brothers.
I'm not sure.
I don't think they have. I'm going No Country as well. Right. The wide, long shots of Texas, the blue skies, but more importantly, this goes back to my music. Thriller. This is a thriller, okay? It's a thriller. The lack of music and the lack of cuts in the shots. Your normal thrillers, man, that come out pumped through Hollywood, they have those cuts all over the chick place, man. They're just junk cuts, man. You're like, oh my God, stop. It's like long tracking shots, playing with shadows in this. Go right now, and like if you're watching this or listening to this, stop and go look up thumbnails just of No Country for Old Men. Every image is so calculated and beautiful. I mean, the lighting, everything, it's phenomenal. So
it's also worth noting that one of the first things I heard about No Country before it had come out, we were following it pretty closely when it was coming to the cinema. And one of the first things I heard about it was cinematography related, and it was the river scene with the dogs chasing them. They were talking about how difficult that shot was to do the way they did it because it was out over the water and they were crossing the river. So, I mean, cinematography was one of the first bits of chatter that movie even put out.
Right.
Yeah. All right, best supporting. Best supporting actress.
So I went with Kelly MacDonald from No Country for Old Men. And we talked about this a bit. Of all of the characters, all of the supporting...
I think this is the weakest, don't you? Out of all the awards?
supporting
actress.
As far as, like, available options, yes.
There were plenty of supporting actresses this time around.
Really?
I thought so.
I think they were, but I don't think none of them really impressed me. Really.
Kelly MacDonald. I mean, go ahead.
Above and beyond, yeah, completely encompassed the character. Everything I said about the screenplay and the depth of the character, she embodies it. And it's worth noting that when Coens write a character, they have when they write anything, they have a very specific vision, and they do not want you to deviate from it at all. Which means that character was present, and she brought it off the page, and she was an important character for the movie because she's the ending. She's the ending everybody wants to know. Did he or didn't he? He checks his feet, but did he?
Yeah.
Or is that just something he does because he's a peculiar individual? And she made you care about that moment. And it was with her innocence and the line delivery, her genuine love for Llewellyn Moss. You could tell she cared very deeply for him, to the point where she was willing to do something he asked her not to, which is, you get the impression she wouldn't typically do that. But she called the sheriff and told him what was up, and he almost made it in time to help save Llewellyn. So I went with Kelly MacDonald.
Okay. I went for the same reason. I love Kelly MacDonald, man. I've been over this before, but Boardwalk Empire is probably my favorite show. And she's all throughout that, and she's phenomenal. And that I love Train Spotting, and she's in that. She's just all over the place, man. She's wonderful. And for a character who has no real purpose in this film, I mean, she really is just a supporting actress. She's there for whatever. She carries a lot of scenes, and she really brings the character to life. Like you said, she makes us care about a character that's
Moss.
Yeah, she makes us care about the character,
and it kind of makes you hate Anton Chigurh more. just for the notion that he might have done it.
Right. Well, yeah, I know it's very interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting.
And some of the best lines too come from that scene with her in the end, where
She's like,
she
you
says,
don't
"You don't have to do this." Yeah. Everybody says
that. Yes, but this is the best I can do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't think this was a very strong category for me. But we did say at the beginning of this video, if someone pleads a good case, you can change your answer. You guys got me on that one. I'm going Kelly McDonald as well.
Cool.
I had Miller's Crossing, Marcia Gay Harden. I didn't even care for her.
Yeah, I didn't either,
but that's why
honestly.
I said it was. But yeah, I can see, and I'm not as much on board with Kelly McDonald as you guys are. But yeah, I think she's probably the best route to go here. So I'm gonna change my answer.
I wanted to talk about for best supporting. I don't think she did a good job at all. Was Carey Mulligan? I like Carey Mulligan. She was in Gatsby and she's been in some Doctor Who stuff. Like, I thought she was awful.
Yeah, I thought she was awful too.
Her character was so one-dimensional.
The character was awful.
Yeah,
but I mean, she could have done something. I mean, it really felt like. And I know that they're very meticulous with their characters.
So respect.
I know that they're very meticulous with their characters and how you. But like, it just felt like, okay, here's your motivation is you're just fucking mad.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
it was so.
I hated her in that movie. And she can act. I like her.
I definitely wanted to consider Frances McDormand from Blood Simple.
Yeah,
but I couldn't.
She only comes alive at the end.
Because she only comes alive at the end. And if you have a character in the beginning, and it's one of my favorite things about Blood Simple is when she has her dream, right? And Marty is sitting on the bed, and he says to her, "I love you," and she says, "I love you. You're only saying that because you're scared. Here, you forgot your weapon." He throws her a compact. I mean, it's just really powerful stuff about. I don't know if that's what she thinks about herself or what he thinks about her, but like all of that stuff alludes to the possibility that she could have been a great character. But all that I'm going to go ahead and call it a mistake, call it an oversight in the writing. When he walks in, covered in blood with a gun hanging out of his back pocket, and she says nothing about it. And that, yet in the end, she becomes so intelligent that she crawls through.
Yeah.
She sits and she shoots through the door. I wanted to give it to that role because I actually like the concept of it, but it just was.
And I have to say something too. A couple weeks ago, I was like, I am not doing a Coen Brothers marathon without Blood Simple.
I know. I remember you were pushing it so hard.
Yeah, and Josh and I, we go back, 10 years probably? Yeah. We used to work together, and we'd talk movies all the time. And the last time I watched Blood Simple was probably 10 years ago. And I was so impressed with that movie, but a lot has changed. A lot of my tastes have changed. And there's still great stuff in Blood Simple.
It's the best 30-minute short.
Yeah, it really is.
The beginning
and actually, this was financed through a short film of the Coen brothers, you know? I'd actually like to go back and watch that short film because I have a lot of issues now with Blood Simple. But with that said, I think there's some magic that you would see later would become the Coen brothers.
You see the Coen brothers in the movie.
I wish I could go back there.
For sure.
But you see
I was so confident about
the Coen brothers.
Gotta do Blood Simple.
Well, I felt stupid when I was doing my awards. I was like, man, I'm giving all my awards to like 3 and 4 of these. There's like 2 that I'm not giving anything to.
Hey,
I was like, Brad's giving me so much shit.
Yeah, no, it's
Brad's giving me so much shit. Like
Blood Simple, when he starts shooting through that wall, the lighting.
That is fucking phenomenal.
It's all magical. It's so good. His hand there.
Yeah. You know what ruined that for me though is the whole thing about him going and reaching over. Why didn't he just go around?
I don't know.
That's why I didn't get my.
I liked the scene. I mean, I liked that she stabbed his hand and he was stuck there.
Would you do that? Would you just go around to the next?
I don't.
What the fuck was he doing?
I don't know.
I feel like he was checking to see if that's what she did.
Yeah.
But
did he
once
know
you
that there
pop
was
the window and you realize, that is unlocked. Let's go ahead and continue to shove our hand through.
Yeah.
It's a concept that I feel like it's a concept they had preceding any scripting, and they really had a vision for it.
Yeah.
And they just went for it.
Yep.
That's what I see when I see that, and I see the beauty in it.
Yeah.
It has its problems though.
Yeah.
But that last 30 minutes, 25 minutes of it,
awesome.
from about the point of turn the light off, he can see. From right there on, I could praise the shit out of that movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Everything preceding that, it's one of the stupidest characters that they have written ever.
Well, Dan Hedaya or whatever, I like him, man. One of my biggest problems with Blood Simple was just I felt like the casting was way off. Like Dan Hedaya is the big one, I guess, for me. I know him from so many, like from Cheers, where he's Carla's husband, and he's such a good. He's in Addams Family, and he's in fucking a bunch of stuff.
Alien Resurrection.
He's got so much character, and they chose to have. He's just got nothing, man. He's got no personality.
Emmett
so
Walsh was
bland.
badass though, wasn't it? I like his like best dressed, if we had a best dressed, he just looked like he was sleazy and.
Did we just use the best supporting actress category to digress into everything?
Okay, yeah, let's do it. Okay, best supporting actor.
Well, we were talking. Okay, it's fine.
Okay, I'm.
So a lot of these actor roles, a lot of them could easily be considered supporting.
Yeah.
In fact, the person that I'm not gonna. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Okay.
I gave supporting actor to my runner-up for best actor.
Okay.
Simply because so many of them can fall under supporting actor and actor, because they kind of do ensemble pieces a lot of the time. So I went with my runner-up for best actor, so we'll call it supporting, and I went with Tommy Lee Jones.
Nice.
Okay.
No Country for Old Men, because damn, did he not bring that character to life?
Yeah. I did the same thing. I picked Tommy Lee Jones as Ed Tomzell or whatever from No Country. I could almost say that he was best actor.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? He's so prevalent throughout that film. It was funny,
and he never interacts directly.
That's what was so interesting to me. I was like, he's best supporting actor, but he never even sees Llewellyn. You know what I mean? He never interacts with
by
him.
design. No Country for Old Men, right? He's always a step behind because they're just outpacing him.
Yeah. If I weren't so, Llewellyn Moss is obviously the main character. I feel like he's that's the only reason I wouldn't give him best actor. Yeah, he's a supporting actor for me. But yeah, Tommy Lee Jones.
Okay. I was faced with a dilemma on this, so I had to put rules up to make my answer. I went Academy Awards rules. Okay. Javier Bardem supporting. Yeah, I could totally see him getting best actor. But, he actually won Best Supporting that year.
Okay.
And so I'm going to go ahead and use that as the supporting. Because there were so many people I could have given this to. There was a couple players, too, that were in a lot. I forget his name. He was in Miller's Crossing. And he was in Barton Fink. He was the short, bald guy.
Yeah.
That guy really did some stuff. I loved him in Miller's Crossing. I thought he was fantastic. And when you're talking supporting,
as Casper, he was so good.
Let me ask you this real quick while we're on this. Who do you think is the strongest collaborator with the Coens? Which next time would be a great award. Because you have John Turturro, you have John Goodman, you have Frances McDormand, which was totally underutilized in their newest movie, Hail Caesar. Which she's
in that as well.
You wouldn't even know it, though. Yeah. So, but it's who do you think's your strongest collaborator here?
John Goodman.
I like John Goodman, although in Inside Llewyn Davis, did he even need to be there?
Exactly.
I feel like he's kind of
it was awesome though.
He's kind of like my Michael Madsen.
He's a great character.
Tarantino. He's kind of just shoehorned into stuff.
Because John Turturro was awesome in Miller's Crossing.
Yeah,
And then coming back to Barton Fink, and then he was in a third one, right? Was that it? Just those two?
I want to say he was, but I can't think of what it is.
Yeah. So anyway, I had so many options here. I had to kind of file it down, and Academy said that Javier Bardem was a supporting actor. Okay. So I didn't give him my best Coen's character because I had to put some rules up. So
in this marathon, I would say Frances McDormand.
Okay. So I had to go. I had to put the rules up, but she's best actress. Oh, you go. Okay, where you going?
We haven't gotten there yet. We haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, you're talking about collaborator.
Spoiler warning.
Okay.
If we're looking at just these movies we watched, your answer to the collaborator question is Frances McDormand.
Okay, yeah, I think you're probably right there, but I'm going Javier Bardem for best supporting. So
that's 3 for No Country for that.
Yep.
Okay.
Bring that over.
Which one? The water?
Yes, sir.
Don't spill it.
Oh, I won't.
Okay, and let's take a second here. We actually have a scorekeeper in the house.
Yes.
Where are we at right now?
No Country for Old Men is way ahead.
Way
ahead? Like True Grit way ahead?
Probably more.
Really? Okay, wow. All right, what's second? Is it Fargo, probably?
Yes.
Okay.
But not by much.
Okay.
It's so Barton Fink.
Barton Fink and Fargo.
What's the bottom? Llewyn Davis.
Well, Blood Simple has nothing yet.
Okay.
Which is a shame, but it
no, it's not a bad
movie. Hey, it happens!
No, okay. So we had talked a little bit earlier about how it's really fun to watch a basketball game, but only when it's it's a 2-3 point game. This is not a 2-3 point game, man. It's just not. Go ahead.
Best actors, right?
Best actors.
Frances McDormand.
Okay.
I think that
Frances McDormand
Fargo.
From Fargo, right? Yeah. Not from Blood Simple.
Yeah, me too. And what's awesome is we've talked about this in the past. All of our marathons, there's not a lot of strong female characters out there. And I say when you get the female character right, she can go up against anybody. Actor. This character here, she got my best Coen character.
Right.
I loved her. I thought she was phenomenal.
Yeah, best hero, best.
Frances McDormand in general is a terrific actress.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, she's just phenomenal.
All right, best actor.
Javier Bardem.
Okay.
I went with that just because.
So you said fuck the Academy, huh?
Yeah.
I picked John Turturro from Barton Fink.
Who is the actor? In No Country for
Yeah,
Old
well,
Men?
that's a good
Right.
question.
He's a main
I'm not going to argue because that's why I said I had to give myself rules because there were so many picks. Yeah, I see where you're going with it, 100%. I just had to put rules up. They gave supporting. I went there.
A lot of their movies, I think, follow that kind of formula
Yeah.
where you have a hard time.
Yeah.
It basically comes down to they pick who is the top billed actor.
Yeah.
Right.
And fuck that.
Yeah.
Right.
Javier Bardem.
I picked John Turturro and Barton Fink. He like I said before, like part of what I really like about him is that he kind of holds up a mirror, and there are things about myself that I find a little bit uncomfortable looking at him and seeing it in him, and I
And it takes good acting to do that.
absolutely.
Yeah. And I went Barton Fink as well.
Did you?
Yeah, I think he had the most to do too, and
Yeah.
he was in front of the camera the whole time. It was a very interesting character. I thought.
And without question, he is the main actor.
The main
And
actor.
he
exactly.
runs the gamut from being terrified to being he's dancing and fucking going crazy.
A lot of
and,
expressions on
You
his
see a
face,
lot
right?
of expression out of him in that movie.
Right.
And then he went and did Transformers.
Yeah, and on top
That
of
was
that,
his best MILF.
and on top of that, I think he's also a huge collaborator with the Coen brothers, and
Right.
that kind of weighed into it as well. Best actor, I had to give it to him. So,
Yeah.
all right, favorite scene. This
If
was
it
rough.
hasn't at this point, oh God, I know. At this point, it's probably pretty obvious that I'm pulling for No Country for Old Men. I'll give you my runner-up scene for No Country for Old Men is, or for this.
My runner-up and your favorite scene are both No
Both
Country.
in No Country.
Jesus Christ.
Well, so go ahead, mark one down for No Country.
Runner-up here is the coin toss scene in No
Yeah.
Country. I think everybody loves that because there's so much tension there.
There's so much tension. Yeah.
But while I think that's true, there's a lot of tension there, a lot of good dialogue, a lot of richness to his character. I also, I want that from both sides, and I feel like I got that same thing from the scene between Anton Chigurh and Carson Wells in his hotel. I'm starting from when he walks in the hotel and Anton just walks around the corner behind him. Hello, Carson.
Right.
Let's go to your room. Sit down, that entire conversation. He petitions for his life with money, and then he resorts to calling him crazy. He says, do you have any idea how crazy you are? What do you mean this conversation?
I'm in the nature of you.
Exactly. that whole scene, I felt the same level of tension there as I did during the coin toss scene. And then it ended, obviously, with my best kill. I just, from beginning to end, bookend, that scene is amazing.
Mine was also No Country. It was when the sheriff goes to visit Deputy Ellis. Where he drives out. That whole interaction is fantastic, especially for a character that wasn't even on screen before that. You don't even know who that is, but you just instantly buy their chemistry. You instantly buy that they know each other, and they both. I don't know. Ellis doesn't seem to be particularly educated, but he just seems to have a lot of wisdom. And
it's just like Fargo
Right.
in that way. The deputy makes the wrong call, and then the experienced guy said,
even Miller's Crossing, there's the sheriff, then there's the one guy the sheriff can confide in. You know what I mean? This guy's going to tell me the truth about how I'm feeling and what I should do. Yeah, that's my scene.
Mine is No Country for Old Men as well, but it's very biased. So if someone comes up like all these great scenes like you guys just described, I remember sitting in the theater and watching this scene and just being blown away by it because of the character. All right, and we talked about it earlier, and it's Josh Brolin. I call it the Last Man Standing scene where he goes to the truck, he sees all the drugs, and he's like, "Where's the last man standing?"
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
And he goes across the desert, and he just stops. A lot of movies wouldn't
Yeah.
even stop. He would just go get the money, done, over with. But he stops. He kneels down.
Shows his intelligence.
Yeah, and that's
Just
so
to watch his
important.
It's character building.
Yeah,
and it's
so important.
good.
He's pulling out the binoculars. He's watching that tree. He looks at the clock, and it doesn't show how long he was sitting there, but his body composition changes. Where he's kind of slouched over. He was probably there for an hour, 2 hours, just watching to see if this guy was going to breathe, if he was moving, if he could kind of outstare
When
him.
this movie came out, we had this same conversation.
Yeah, it was so smart, and I think it was a breath of fresh air then, and still, you don't see a lot of people doing this. And through this marathon, I saw that a couple times, so it's not the first time they've done that. I love when, like I said, Frances McDormand goes to that wall, and she just sits down, and she just waits. She could have went around screaming all over the place, but she sat there, and she walked, focused that.
She made a choice.
Yeah,
right. And you see on screen, you see in her face.
Yeah.
that she made that choice.
She
could have gone out the door. She could
Had,
have.
well, would she have made the same decision if she had known that it wasn't her husband? Like, I feel like that was the time she's like, I'm gonna stand up to my husband.
That
finally
actually enhances that scene for me. Thank you for bringing that up because I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, she thinks it's him. She doesn't know that he's dead.
As a viewer, we think that it's that she knows.
Yeah.
You kind of don't
finally
put that
done
together,
taking hit. But if she'd known that this was just an assassin, basically, you know what I mean?
And
Would she have had the same?
And then I called it out earlier with the Irish mobster. He was just right on top of it. He ended up, having that gunfight right there in the hallways. He goes outside the window, quick too.
Yeah.
No thought into it. So they've done this a couple times, but
Yeah.
the first time I noticed it, and I noticed something special, was in No Country for Old Men. And now when I watch movies, there's things like this that weigh on other movies, and I come back and
like the Dog Soldiers conversation.
Exactly. There's things like that. Now when I watch other movies, they're like, Brad, you're so negative when it comes to movies. It's like, no, it's like I see. I hold movies to a certain standard just because of scenes like this. When I'm going to watch a thriller now, take some fucking time. I don't care if you're fighting fucking werewolves or drug dealers. Take some time, scan your fucking environment, show me that your character is smart, and that is such an important scene for me.
And you're highlighting that because it just directly points at the intelligence. But that intelligence is present everywhere.
In that movie?
Yeah,
all over that movie.
Men.
All over.
From Llewellyn.
Yep.
And from Anton Chigurh. And from the sheriff.
Well, that's what's
he
so
knows.
great about
The sheriff knows what's going on. He's just always behind the action.
The whole film is just this chess match. It's just this slow kind of chess match.
Yep.
And to speak to that intelligence again, Anton Chigurh does the same thing when he walks into the hotel. When he checks out the room, and he walks in, scans the room, closes the door, and bursts in so he can see what the room's going to look like when he bursts in.
Right.
He's prepping for his assault on that room, and he knocks on the wall to check and see the thickness. That's the type of intelligence that I was born into the Coens with. So when I watch Blood Simple and I see this guy doing all this stuff out there, I'm holding it to that standard, just like you said.
Well,
there's no going back after that.
No, you can't.
I see a character like that, and now I want all my characters to think that way.
Yeah, it's just smart characters, and Tommy Lee Jones even does it too, where he goes into that room, or he just doesn't even walk into it. He just kind of stops. He just stops.
Knows.
Yeah, he knows. Most people would go the fuck in there. He just kind of like, there's fucking something on the other side of this that I do not want to get into.
Yeah.
It's
but he
fucking
does
awesome.
it anyway. That's the first time that he is confronted with the possibility of going up against the younger men.
Yeah.
Right? But he still walks in that door.
But he doesn't go all the way.
He
doesn't traverse through that entire building. He just walks in and then steps out. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And I don't call that a coward either. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's smart. You don't know you're going up against one of the fucking craziest killers that are out there, you know? You just never know. You never know. I always tell everybody, when you're in a fist fight with someone, I don't care if you fight me or we all start fighting here, you never know. The most talented fighter, all it takes is a fucking second of someone just nailing you right in the face the right way, and it's fucking game over. Look at the Holly Holmes and what's her name? Ronda Rousey fight. You never know. It's a game changer. And Tommy Lee Jones could have walked right into a fucking trap. Everybody's so smart. Fucking love it. Yeah. And this is right here. This whole conversation now got me so excited that, man, this is like such a Pantheon level movie.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like they do things.
There's any doubt about
they do
that.
things so right though that you hold those movies up and you're like, man, you can fucking go watch this movie before you make your shitty movie.
And that's the problem. They have reached that peak, and I don't want to call it the peak because I don't want to say that they can't go higher. But I mean, eventually somebody scratches the ceiling, you know. And these guys have done it or gotten damn close. Yeah. So a lot of what they make now is going to be held to that standard, and maybe that's what Tarantino's talking about when he talks about retiring.
Retiring early. Yeah. But you know what? They're master of genre though. Everything from comedy, like one of my favorite movies of all time is Big Lebowski. And they nail comedy. They can nail the thriller. They can nail, deeper movies like Barton Fink, which I don't even know where you put that really in a genre, you know? So it's like, I hope that they can come back, but just in a different genre and nail that genre. And I always say, give a director like these guys a movie that they're not used to doing. I would love to see a fucking straight-up horror movie from the Coen brothers, because that's when you get a true masterpiece.
Right. And you see some of those elements, I think, in Blood Simple and in
Barton
Fink as
well.
well.
Exactly. Yeah. So, defining Coen marathon moment. God damn, let's talk about movies!
Well, the defining moment, for me...
Is this rough for you?
Yeah. I asked myself what what did I want to put on display with this award? And that is that I wanted to show what the Coen brothers do best. And I think that is minimalist dialogue, delivery of tension, of background. And I went with the coin toss scene because I think it well defines what they're able to do in a short span of time and grow a character and through masterful dialogue. I mean, and the direction, the performance you get out of the gas station attendant is phenomenal. Well, I got to know what I stand to lose. Everything. And all of that stuff, all of those things that he says are just so on point. It naturally delivered. They coax that out of their actors, in my opinion. And the coin toss scene stands out particularly as, if I was going to say to somebody, go check out this scene, and if you don't want to watch a Coen Brothers movie after this, then you're not going to like the Coen Brothers.
Right.
That's my moment.
Yeah, it's good. The defining moment for me was, it was Barton Fink, but it's also Llewyn Davis. I keep saying this, like a lot of what I like about Barton Fink, I also like about Llewyn Davis, and I feel like Llewyn Davis isn't getting a lot of attention here, but a lot of it is because I like Barton. They did a lot of the same things, and I think that Barton Fink did them all better.
Yeah.
So it's not anything against Llewyn Davis. I thought it was a good movie, but it was. I've mentioned it before. It's that kind of that mirror that these characters put up. Llewyn Davis and Barton Fink both did it for me, where it was. I'm watching them and I'm seeing Barton Fink like everyone's happy with what everyone's happy that you've done a really great thing, and he's like, nah, like it's not perfect, and it's like, man, don't be like that. Don't be like fuck me. You know what I mean? And it's frustrating to watch someone else struggle with that, because that's very much the kind of shit that I do to myself, and I don't like it. It's the same thing, or the whole thing with his idea that film should be about, or a theater should be about the common man, and he's so blind to like the actual common man who's trying to help him, because he's spouting this bullshit about what art should be. He's too blind about like the art in front of him.
Well, even the studio says we're not going to make any B pictures here. That's why I said earlier with that high art versus that low art. It's really, really interesting.
The commentary about the industry in Barton Fink is spot on. It's so good.
And meanwhile, all this other shit is getting made. Say they do it in Llewyn Davis too. Like Llewyn has talent, he has authenticity, and he feels it. But then he sees these other people on stage, and is like, how the fuck is this guy getting a record deal or whatever? Like, this guy, what does he do? What's so special about him? He's just, it's so jaded and so frustrated with like, because someone's got to come along and do exactly what you do, but just market it better. And that's all it is. And then in the end, you're gonna be out the fucking back getting the shit kicked out of you while the guy who's better than you is playing in the background. I thought that was when Bob Dylan shows up at the end of that film. It's wonderful because he's this shadow that's sort of cast over the whole film. God, I wish we could talk more about Llewyn Davis. It just didn't show up very much.
I wasn't a fan of Davis, but talking about real quick, I wanted to talk a little bit about Hell Caesar just because of this. This reason we're doing this marathon. The same thing you said about Barton Fink and Llewyn Davis was because I felt the same way about Barton Fink and Hell Caesar. There's a lot of the same themes. In a lot of ways, it's a spiritual sequel to Barton Fink, but Barton Fink just does everything so much better that I'm just like, oh man, I'm just, fuck you. Looking at your watch, like, I'm going to go home and watch Barton Fink again and get something out of it, I think my defining moment, this was hard because there's so many scenes.
So many.
Yeah, and since we're so
characteristic
many,
of the Coens.
I got to make this easier for me, and I go back and I start putting up rules, and then that helps me kind of guide my defining moment. And so I looked back at Blood Simple, okay? So I'm finally going to give Blood Simple an award here. There's a lot of traits that I've talked about in this movie.
Did you get that?
Yeah, we got a Blood Simple. Is this the only Blood Simple?
It's happening.
Okay, so my defining moment was I wanted to look back and see the future of the Coen brothers. You could see there's the building blocks and some filmmaking traits that started in Blood Simple. And there was one especially where, what is a Coen brothers film? I think it's quirk in serious situations. There's a lot of that, a lot of dark humor. And I think the first time that we really get a glimpse of who the Coen brothers could be in their early film Blood Simple is when
everybody thinks they know what's going on in that situation.
Dan Hedaya, whatever his name is, he shows up at the house. He's trying to kidnap Frances McDormand, and he gets back in his car.
Is that what he was trying to do?
Whatever he's trying to do. He gets in the car. He's throwing up outside, and he drives the other way.
No, yeah.
And
it's
it's
a dead end.
It's a dead end. And even there's a couple people that come in this movie and they start going, they go the wrong way and they got to turn around. They got to drive their
Right back
they got
by
to
the
drive
house.
the car right past the people they just had a confrontation with. And right there is like you can start seeing who the Coen brothers. They had a voice.
Right.
They had a different texture to them than the other filmmakers.
And
Yeah.
it speaks to what you said earlier. They do a lot of things that they don't have to do.
Yeah.
But it just shines when they do.
Exactly. And so for a defining moment, I went back and I championed Blood Simple, because we see a lot of that later on. Actually, through all
that's
these
a good
films.
It's
award,
interesting you
man.
should say that
That's a
too,
good
because
award.
there's a scene in Blood Simple that they almost directly copy later in Fargo, where he's dragging the body out of the car on that lonesome sort of highway, and then a car drives by as he's going. It's the same scene as in Fargo. It's like the exact same scene, it's just done.
Except that he actually gets the body in the car.
Right.
Before,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, last two awards. Worst picture.
So I had two.
No Country.
I had two. A lot of good elements, but the whole just didn't come together.
Yeah.
No, there were two movies at the bottom for me in this marathon. Barton Fink didn't get a lot of love from me, but I mean, it really is a great movie. But there were two that sat firmly at the bottom, and I had to pick worst based upon which one I would likely find myself watching again soonest. Which is why Llewyn Davis doesn't get it.
Okay.
I'm giving it to Miller's Crossing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Miller's
You were
Crossing.
actually really excited about watching
I
Miller's Crossing,
was
too.
really excited about Miller's Crossing. There were a lot of elements in that movie that didn't jive well with me. I usually, the humor that you just pointed out, I usually like that from the Coens. In Miller's Crossing, for some reason, it just didn't ring right for me. And this, specifically, two things I could point out is when he is getting beat on by Casper's men, and then the police raid happens, and they drag him out. You get that great moment where he looks at the police chief and says, I can talk about Leo that way, but you can't.
Yeah.
He still runs this town. But you got all this like comedy shit going on in the background with the cops. It felt, when it happens again later, but from the opposite side, where it's Leo's men that are getting raided and Casper's men, they have the same kind of police chief banter thing back and forth. I felt like I was watching a fucking Mel Brooks movie.
Really?
Yeah, and there were a lot of the deliveries of the lines were really forced, and the noir element of it is probably what felt weakest in that movie. Whereas I loved it in Blood Simple, when I watched Miller's Crossing, it felt just too cheeky, too not. They didn't take it seriously, and I don't know if that has something to do. I guess they had someone else in mind to play Tommy. When they wrote the movie, but I guess he had like a brain aneurysm before.
Was it, Eddie Murphy?
I was like,
what the fuck?
But from what I understand, they had to recast quickly. And I mean, not to say that he did a poor job, because I like a lot of the delivery of lines. Yeah, a lot of the delivery of the lines and stuff like that. But something about the movie felt off to me.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, it got my what the fuck moment with the endless drum and just completely missed him. I loved the scene when they threw the bomb into the building, and then they said anybody else left alive in there come out, one flag shake, and then they just fucking all started exploding. That scene, it landed with me. But there were other scenes set up the same way that just felt like they were tongue-in-cheek to, black comedy joke.
Did you like the scene where the other mob boss, I forget his name, goes crazy with the fucking shovel?
Yeah,
against his own guy. That was
I
fucking beautiful.
I didn't see it coming.
Yeah, so awesome.
A lot of individual elements in that movie that were really good.
Yeah.
But the whole missed it for me.
right.
Yeah, and then John Turturro sold it too, though, with his
He
find
was
some
good.
love in your heart, or whatever
Yeah.
he says. Dude, it's like, don't kill me. It's like, dude, that was awesome. But all right, man, what's yours?
I was the same.
Miller's Crossing.
Miller's
Wow.
Crossing.
Okay.
I mean, it's funny because I think what you just said is really, there's so many good things about the film, but for some reason when you put them all together, it just doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
It's not that I thought it was bad. I just don't care.
Uh-huh.
I just don't care. And I think that's almost worse than me thinking that it's bad. Like, everybody knows, like, I don't like Man of Steel, for example.
Uh-huh.
So we start talking about Man of Steel, but I get, like, pumped up because I'm like, no, fuck you, because you like it, and I don't.
Damn, you come on Thursday, man. What are you doing Thursday night?
I don't
Need
know,
someone in my corner.
I fucking hate that movie. But so that's I can get fired up because it's like, no, like, you're wrong, this is shit. But, like, with Miller's Crossing, like, I just don't care. It's almost worse.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Just to be very, like, whatever about it. It felt very like by the book, I guess. Like it just seems like a gangster movie.
Yeah.
Which it's just like a bunch of boring ass gangster movie. Where like Blood Simple had a lot of stuff in that I didn't care for, but that felt like a Coen Brothers movie.
Yeah.
If you look at the
did,
plot,
yeah.
and it's like,
That's
well,
your
this
point.
guy. He set this guy up to kill this guy, and then he killed him, and then the wife comes in, and he thinks that the wife killed her, and it's very
At
Coen
no
Brothers.
point did tensions rise anywhere in Miller's Crossing. For
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
They didn't build any suspense. It was missing a powerful element that made it a Coen.
It was good. It was good. I'm not gonna say it's bad. I just don't care.
Yeah.
That's the worst
Of
thing for me.
these
I just
six,
don't care.
I would find myself rewatching that one
Really?
last.
You know how you say you just don't care? That's how I felt about Llewellyn Davis.
Really?
I
Yeah.
watched it. I'm not into that music. And when I'm watching it, anybody could have made Llewellyn Davis, I feel. When I'm watching a Coen Brothers film, I want what makes a Coen Brothers
Right.
film, you know? And I don't know, it felt, I'm sure they had a blast. They obviously love the music and the genre they made. So, awesome. You
The
know, putting
only
this on
segment that
my
came
favorite.
close to being Coen Brothers at all was John Goodman and that whole ride and the humor that was involved in
I
that.
thought, well,
I love Oscar
that,
Isaac, too. He's become one of my favorite
Yeah,
actors,
he's
man.
great.
I
And he
love
was
Oscar
great.
Isaac.
Ever
He's
since Ex
fantastic.
Machina, I saw what
Yeah.
he could do there, and I'm sold.
I think that the end of the film where it really comes full circle for him, you realize this is like kind of a cycle for him. Like
It's a great movie.
that was great.
Don't get
That
me
felt
wrong.
very Coen Brothers to me as well. But
Well, 2 jabs against Miller Crossing, is that like -2 now?
it is.
Is it like -2? I don't even know.
Yeah.
All
it
right.
is.
Well, let's take a break before we get into our best picture. What do you have?
This might come as a shock to everyone.
Miller's Cross?
Obviously, it's
That's the
No
worst.
Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
Yeah, No Country.
Yeah. So I'm going to say No Country for Old Men, but I have to go back and say that it. I went against every one of my rules. Every one of my rules. My favorite villain. You know, actually, no, it was my favorite.
Did you skip me?
No, you said it. You said No Country.
I said No
I'm sorry.
Country for you.
Oh, I thought you were.
I went Barton Fink.
Oh, did you? Okay, well, I'm sorry.
Upset!
Whoa! Wow, okay, well, go ahead.
No.
Sorry.
Oh, well, no, good to you thing?
No, go
No,
ahead.
no. Oh, sorry. No, I really like Barton Fink. I love No Country for Old Men, but Barton Fink really took me by surprise, and it's the only one that I feel like I
You're
have
ready
to
to go
watch
back
it
and
again.
watch
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Last night you came over and I was like, dude, bring Barton Fink. Like, I want to watch Barton Fink again. I want to see it with you. I want to see what you think, and yeah, I think it has the most, like you said, to unpack a lot of things. I think every time you see that, you're gonna find something else about it that you like. No Country, I loved it the first time I saw it. I loved it the second time I saw it. I loved it when I saw it last night. And
you will love it the next time you
I
see
will
it.
always love that film for sure. But Barton Fink surprised me.
Okay.
Because before I
But-
honestly didn't know anything about it really.
But you may watch it a second time and think to yourself, well, that was good, but it wasn't No Country good.
Yeah, I don't think that though.
No, I don't know.
I think since you have so much love for it, because I remember Barton Fink was a movie for me that I said I've said this a couple times on episodes and podcasts, but I say life movies.
Mm.
I think that's going to be one of your life movies, man, for you, but a positive one, not a bad life experience
No,
or a life
I
movie
feel
like
like it
Raging
is.
Bull, but a good experience where you're unpacking it constantly.
Normally, what I do when I determine best pictures, I look back at all the awards I've given and I count them up and say like, well, I gave the most awards to this, so this must be kind of what I think. I was tied between Barton Fink and No Country, and so I had to make a decision, and it was Barton Fink. I'm not ashamed of that. I do think it's Barton Fink.
Okay. For me, when I went best screenplay and I went the best Coen character, it was all based on originality.
Yeah.
Okay. For this though, I had to break that, and I went No Country for Old Men. It's just the best movie. You know, it's not their original movie that's based off of a Cormac McCarthy novel, but they really brought that to life, man. If you would have gave that to someone like, I don't know, just Ridley Scott, because I know Ridley Scott just directed a movie that was Cormac McCarthy. I forget the name of it, but it just, no one talked about it. You know, I can't say if it's a good or bad movie, but they brought something that we're talking is Pantheon level,
Right.
you know, and it has to do with one of my favorite subgenres is cat and mouse movies. And I
Right.
think it is the best cat and mouse movie maybe ever made. I think it is brilliant, and you have the cat and the mouse that are both intelligent.
Right.
You know, the way this film is directed, and the absence of sound or soundtrack, you know, and the way that they're making a thriller, but they take all the rules that make a thriller, and they throw them away, and that's why I think it's so important.
Reconstructed and they
Right.
nailed it.
And they nailed it, and that's why I'm like, man. other filmmakers need to come in that you wouldn't expect and do movies outside their genre. You know, that's why I want to see. I want to see Tarantino do something that he's not comfortable with, or have like get Oliver Stone to make a goddamn horror movie. I don't even care, but take people out of their norm and give them something like this. You know, Coen brothers have done things like this in the past, but they really deconstructed it and built it up from the ground up, taking the putting tracking shots in, getting rid of a soundtrack for a fucking thriller. That is awesome. Yeah, so I loved it. What do you guys think about the ending of No Country for Old Men?
Love it.
I love it.
I have to say,
as
a lot of people are gonna be like,
movies
I
back to back,
don't understand it.
You realize that Coens really like to give you the fucking bird
Yeah.
with the endings of their movies, but in a good way.
Uh-huh.
I mean, when it ends, you're left with a question, and
Uh-huh.
what does that mean to you?
That's
an important part of it.
That's what I love when I'm watching a movie and I feel like they don't give you everything, and it's like I feel like I gotta get on the internet and I gotta find out more about this character, or I gotta find out more about this hotel, or I
gotta
find out.
rewatch this movie and look for the little things that may answer this question later that I missed.
Right.
You know, even down to the bag of money. Right? Did Anton Chigurh? Did we see the end of this story? Did Anton Chigurh get that bag of money?
Yeah.
We see the scrape marks in the ventilation shaft, right? But you see a coin on the ground inside of a screw, I think, which we know that he opened one with a coin earlier. But did he open it and the bag was already gone?
Yeah.
Right.
And he just dropped it because Tommy Lee Jones just walked up to the door?
Uh-huh.
Did we see the end of this movie? Did he get the bag? Did he kill Llewellyn Moss's wife?
Yeah. You know what I love too? This is a modern day Western. Really, if you look at the structure, it's a modern day Western. And again, it's deconstructing, and then reconstructing. It's in your normal Western. We just came off a Western marathon. If this was your regular Western, it would have Tommy Lee Jones, okay, and Anton Chigurh, right? And they'd be facing down, mano a mano, in the fucking in the middle deserted road in Texas. Lawman against the villain, But into this, you're not for sure quite what happens to Anton, and you just have Tommy Lee Jones, sitting at a breakfast table with his wife talking about dreams.
That's the
I love
that's
that.
the
It's
best
so
scene.
phenomenal.
That's one of the best scenes in the film where he's talking,
Uh-huh.
and he's talking about how he's older than his dad was when he died, and now so again it seems like he's the younger man,
Uh-huh.
and so in this dream, I think he's talking about just his death, you know what I mean, and what's going to happen later. Like, he's going out ahead of me, and I know, when I go that way, he's going to be waiting for me. And it's beautiful.
And I don't know how much of this movie is pulled straight from a masterpiece of literature.
Uh-huh.
All I know is that I am thankful to the Coens for bringing this movie to life, because it is life-altering.
Yeah.
It changes my expectations for film, for storytelling, for everything, character depth. Without this movie, I'd have a lesser understanding. They've educated me in that regard, and hands down, it's a masterpiece.
Okay, do you know what movie, out of all of our golden idols, out of the boxing marathon, I know we had a lot of praise, obviously, for Rocky, but if you go watch the marathon, we justify our awards. I mean, it wasn't as expected as we thought, some of our idols. I wonder, did Rocky actually win all the golden idols?
No, not at all.
I wonder who won.
We should go back and watch. I know you gave Cinderella Man
I'll be doing
an
that
awful
tonight.
lot. You gave
I
Cinderella
can't
Man a
wait
lot.
to see.
Cinderella Man blew me away.
Yeah.
I think Raging Bull.
Raging Bull got a lot. I mean, the Raging Bull got a lot of it may not have been my favorite film, but God, it was so good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't need to see it again, but man, it had the
Raging
best.
Bull
This,
is
it
an
had the best, this,
exception,
it had the
whereas
best,
I gauge a lot of my stuff on which one I would find myself going back to watch again more.
Well, that's what's so interesting about
I
it.
can put that movie away for 10 years and know and not watch it, and watch all the other ones again, and still know it's going to be fantastic.
Right.
So, what do you think's better? Once Upon a Time in the West, or No Country for Old Men? Because that's two. It looks like a golden idol winners.
Once Upon a Time
don't
in the
put
West.
me in a
No.
spot.
If I had to do it right now, Once Upon a Time in the West instantly became one of my top 10 films.
Oh, really? Did you actually go back out and
Instantly.
buy it? Because I remember you were going to buy it and take it on Rachel to watch. Did you watch it, Rachel?
Yep.
What'd you think?
I liked it.
Yeah, did you love it?
Yeah, I think I did.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Right on. So, do you guys want to make any changes right now? Actually, let's ask Rachel who won. Can you give us the score?
No Country for Old Men right now is comfortably the winner.
Okay.
Comfortably.
How many?
Right now it has 26.
Wow.
And the next highest has how much?
The next highest has 10, and that's a tie between Fargo and Barton Fink.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
so Fargo and Barton Fink together don't even have as much as what No Country has.
Wow,
Okay.
landslide.
So it's very
And
comfortable.
And again, we did
It
not
is
talk
very
about this
comfortable.
before we watch these movies. We watch them and we come together with our sealed envelopes and we lay it out there. And I think that's very important to also say again. We don't see everything eye to eye. You know.
I'm going to answer your question, and I'm going to say No Country over Once
Really?
Upon a Time in the West.
Okay. Do you think they both deserve in the pantheon?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind. They're both
Okay.
Pantheon
Well,
films.
we're still trying to figure out the exact rules for the pantheon, but we'll see if they have a spot in the pantheon. So.
Out of curiosity, how many points did the other films have? The other three.
Well, okay. Miller's Crossing had 2, but then because it had the worst, the worst 2 worst movie votes, it
Okay.
lost those 2 points.
So it's
it's
at
on
0.
What is?
Goose egg.
Miller's
Miller's
Crossing
Crossing.
Miller's
has
Crossing.
0.
Blood Simple is on 1.
Okay.
Inside Llewyn Davis is
Had
it
1.
was on a 1, and then it got the worst, so it's on 0.
Well, it's about to go to -1 because I'm changing my soundtrack answer. Brad sold me on the silence
Right
thing.
on.
Okay.
When you called it out as lack of soundtrack, that's not an angle I considered when I made
Uh-huh.
the assessment on soundtrack. And I picked Llewyn Davis just because I thought the music was pleasing. I do like Mumford & Sons. I thought it was all right. But the other ones didn't have anything. And I now realize that that's an attribute. It's something to
Especially, I said it again, like, it's a thriller, you know, and
Right,
that's going
right,
against
right.
the
It's very
rules of a
interesting.
thriller, you know. So,
They
all right,
did
so
it
how many does
other
that take it for,
That's at -1.
no, because how many for No Country for Old Men now,
Oh,
since he
I'm
just
sorry.
added 1?
26.
So is that after he added his?
Right.
27 now.
27. Yes.
27 goals.
27.
Gold medals
we
for No
we
Country
talked
for Old
about.
Men.
We all agreed that you know, like Coen Brothers are very hit or miss. You know, they either hit it or they. And so we've got 26, 10 and 10, and then like nothing,
Negative
-1 or something.
Yeah.
That's very.
And I
much
was
like
not
what we
expecting
said.
that from this marathon.
I
To
was
speak
not
to,
either.
To
Yeah.
what I said when we opened this video, I was expecting all of these to blow me away,
Right.
and I'm a little shocked that they didn't. But
Well, I spent the whole marathon thinking like maybe I just don't understand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like
Okay, yeah.
maybe like Brad's gonna give me so much shit. Like maybe like, I'm just a fucking idiot. I just want to give all my awards to No Country.
And what I love about this too is we plan on doing this for years to come. So when we do get to Coen Brothers number 2 marathon, it's going to be interesting to take the winner of that and the winner of this, No Country, and verse those 2 films. That's going to be interesting.
Well, I know that we need to include True Grit because I know you don't care for the True Grit for their version of True Grit, but I think it stands just. I mean, I would have given it so many awards in this particular category. Yeah.
Well, True Grit
Sure.
is in the penalty box. It lost. It lost to the original.
despite your
True
attempts
Grit.
to fix the
I didn't
game,
fix it.
You did good. You did good by True Grit, but the original one. So, all right, guys, where can they find you?
AV on Facebook.
Okay.
AV Facebook.
All right, man. We are all over the place now. We our website will be up in 2 months. You can find all this. It's going to be a nice little home base where you can just go and it's all where it should be. Going to be easy to find marathons, top 10s, episodes. We're on YouTube. We're on Tumblr. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. We're all over the place. And we have cups. Show them one of the cups. Yeah, these are prototypes. I just wanted to see how they were made. But we have new logos coming with our new website. So I'll be announcing the actual official cups that you can purchase.
And they do hold fluid despite Nathan's
Yeah.
attempts to display to the contrary.
So right on. My good people, until next time, let's talk about movies. We're going to take a break.
I'm sorry.
Right after these commercials.
There's no more paper towel. Right after this motherfucker cleans his shit up.
I'm sorry, I had a mess and ruined your Black Panther party. Can you give us some paper towels, man? Well, it was bound to happen sooner or later.
Might as well be you.
You gotta put that on the book thing at the end.
What bullshit?
I'm about to do my pants.
On his new banner?
It's canvas.
I'm glad they're prototypes.
Whenever anybody comes over
Right in the middle
and
of my
touches that and it's
backswing.
sticky, you just say Nathan.
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 And I was really about ready to get into my my thesis on, on silence.
We'll just sit here and pay tribute to it.
How this motherfucker
cleans up his mess.
Jeez, you need another towel?
I got it. Get it.
A lot of coffee.
That's a lot of tea.
So I suppose you're gonna need another refill.
Well, I'll spare it.
So do you need another towel? Is that what we do?
Maybe.
Dab. What is this material?
Dab.
Oh,
It's
okay.
canvas. It's fine. Sorry. Sorry.
Well, at least we found our outtakes.
Dude, I'm sorry, Brad.
That's no problem. Shit happens.
Thank you. Could you find me a towel that picks up less moisture? It's not even wet.
He's just pushing it around. Take off your jacket.
It's not even wet.
Jeez, it's not even picking up?
No, it's not.
Jeez. Let's give me some paper towels, goddamn.
You couldn't have fucked this up. Oh, memories.
It's happening.
It's a lot of tea.
It was a lot of tea.
Well, hopefully we, the Coen Brothers 2.
Well, that'll do it.
Is that plastic at least?
It's canvas.
Well, yeah, canvas.
I knew I shouldn't put that there.
Nathan just thought it needed polished. How's it looking?
It's much better.
Coming together?
It's coming together. So
Check
everything's
underneath.
coming up Millhouse.
Check it underneath to make sure. Did you knock something else over?
Oh, more than likely.
All when we're finished, I'll grab everything. Okay.
Alright, good.
Oh, it's a little bit.
What were we talking about?
Silence.
Silence.
So 1,
The sound of silence.
Yeah.
2, and that is my thesis on silence.